I'm ranking all the Child's Play and Chucky movies from worst to best. Coming in next, I think, is where the series starts to pick up, at least for me. And I think you'll notice that while I'm rating these off, you'll probably be like, wow, some of these ratings are kind of low. First off, a 6 out of 10 is not a bad rating. Okay, it's better than average. A 5 out of 10 means it's average, at least in my scale. But in the whole grand scheme of things, I think this is a solid franchise all the way through, and a 6 out of 10 could mean it's still a good movie that I'd recommend that is heavily flawed, which is where Curse of Chucky falls into play. Released in 2013 after a long gap from C to Chucky, we kind of reboot the franchise somewhat again with Curse of Chucky as Nika, a paraplegic played by Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif being the voice of Chucky through this entire franchise, pretty much always the voice of Chucky unless it's the Child's Play remake. His daughter Fiona actually plays Nika in the movie, which I think is actually pretty cool, but she is a paraplegic living with her mother when Chucky arrives and her mother ends up dead, and now it's the kind of classic, all right, is it really a doll? You know what I mean? It's kind of played out, but what I like about the Child's Play series is it kind of takes that played out thing and it still kind of does fun things with it. To you as the viewer are in on the joke, if you will, that you know this doll is alive, and it does kind of lean into a little bit more of absurdity. Now, Curse of Chucky feels much more like a straightforward horror film, kind of like Child's Play 1 and 2. I would say Child's Play 3 tries to play more straight-laced horror. I just don't think it does it very well. But like Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and then I think moving forward with like Cult of Chucky and the Chucky TV series, what you'll start to see is you'll see it will be a little bit more leaning into the absurdity, kind of leaning a little bit more into the comedy. And I think Curse of Chucky is trying to be a little bit more straight-laced. But in the whole grand scheme of the Chuckies, I definitely don't feel like Curse of Chucky is a super duper straightforward horror film, but also kind of leans a little bit into the absurdity, which is why I think it's actually pretty enjoyable. With that being said, it does have some decent kills despite the film looking pretty cheap, which is something that you could complain about just between the lighting and the framing and things like that. The film doesn't look super high budget, and that also boils into Chucky himself. This isn't quite the worst Chucky has looked in the whole entire franchise. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but he doesn't look great in this film either. However, the kind of back and forth between Nika and Chucky is pretty enjoyable. And even though this one's a little bit more forgettable in the Chucky lineup, it's still worth a watch. And I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. You'll be hearing that a little bit more.